Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be dissertating and talking about Neptune transiting the first house in a natal chart. Now, on average, Neptune will traverse a house for approximately 14 years. However, if your house size is a little bit larger than average, then Neptune will be in there for a little bit of a longer duration. If your house size is a little bit smaller than average, then Neptune will be in there for a little bit of a shorter period. Well, anyway, people, the first thing I'll look at when Neptune transits one's natal first house, there might be a little bit of an identity crisis during this transit. I'm not saying somebody's going to have a dual personality during this transit, but what I'm saying is that the person there might be a little confusion in terms of life direction. The person might come across a little ambiguous to others during this transit. Their outlook in general on life, or just they might be a little bit more nebulous than usual, and really it might be there might be some ambivalence as to where to go in life during this time. And given that it's in the first house is associated with the first impression, and this could be the first impression that may be given to others. And keep in mind that the first house is also associated with the physical body, and Neptune is associated with drugs and alcohol and chemicals. So if you're, like, say, a social drinker during this time, really be very careful because there might be a greater propensity for being a social drinker for this to escalate into something more of a habitual drinker or borderline alcoholic, perhaps, or even become an alcoholic. I'm just saying, I'm not saying it's going to affect that many people that way, but it does increase that risk, I believe, a little bit anyway. And it's also important to keep in mind that Neptune, okay, even if you're somebody that completely abstains from drinking or any kind of recreational drug use, Neptune is still associated with chemicals, and you might be a little bit more susceptible to some adverse chemicals that are in the air. I mean, whether it might be radon or what have you, the ones that could be detrimental to your health. So it's really important, I think, during this transit especially, to, like, if you haven't had your house tested for chemicals like radon or anything that might be any chemical that might be hazardous or really affect your health adversely, it's very important to have it checked, I think, during this time. Now, it's also possible when you have this transit, okay, the first house can be about, like, new beginnings, and really Neptune can be associated with things connected with the metaphysical and spirituality, and it could be a time where you might embark on something connected with this during this time, or something else Neptunian. It could be something like starting some pharmaceutical work, or anything that might be associated with Neptune during this time. Also, what's important too to remember is that during this transit, now the thing about the transit is when you have Mars traversing your natal first house, it might give a stronger proclivity to help those that are less fortunate, that really are people that could be facing oppression, the people that are impoverished, the homeless, the hungry, those generally less fortunate than you are. And in this transit, it's important to remember that you might not, you're apt to be a lot less egocentric than usual, and more about sacrificing yourself for others. And really, you have to keep in mind that you may not get an overabundance of compensation for your efforts during this period. It's important to remember that a lot of things that you may do are really going to be, it could be out of a lot of compassion for others, and not expecting some reciprocation or something in return during this time. And you may attract people that might be using recreational drugs and substances. It could be people that are alcoholics, have very strong habitual drinkers. And you have to remember that some of these people, they could affect you in a negative way, and really just to be careful during this time. It's one thing if you have to be, I think what it is you have to keep in mind the people that you help might not show an overabundance of appreciation for what you do for them during this period. And you have to remember too that it's not that it's wrong to help people. You want to help certain people, but keep in mind that you don't want to be put in a position where these people can maybe necessarily take advantage of you or hurt you, or say, for example, letting someone into your home that you're trying to show kindness and compassion to, then when you wake up the next morning, half your possessions are gone. So that's what I'm saying. It's really important to be cognizant of the people that you help, and in what way you can help them, where it's not going to be to your detriment. Well, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube. I'm sorry, I'm not concluding it yet. There is something I want to say. It's also important to look at the aspects, if any, that are made from this transit to your natal planets and points in your chart, as this could impact the transit. Now, let's say, for example, that you have transiting Neptune in your natal first house, making a conjunction to your sun, your natal sun. Well, this could indicate you might feel a little bit more lackadaisical than usual, a little bit more sluggish. Your energy might be depleted, and you might be confused about what you want. And being in the first, this could be seen very strongly on a first impression from others. And keep in mind that the first house, I think, could be, at least in my opinion, could be associated with the vitality as well. So this could be a little bit of a double whammy in terms of perhaps depleting maybe the vitality a little bit more, and making yourself feeling a little bit more lackadaisical than usual. Well, anyway, let's take another example. Let's say that transiting Neptune in your natal first house is making a sextile or trine to your natal moon. Well, this could be auspicious perhaps for incorporating imagination with your emotional needs. And being in the first house, this could be tied in perhaps to new beginnings, perhaps something that you start that's incorporating your imagination with your emotional needs. Well, anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for Neptune transiting the first house in a natal chart. And stay tuned next time, where I'll be dissertating and talking about Neptune transiting the second house in a natal chart. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart, and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.